I'm Amberlea Childs, and tonight I'm going to be cooking you Wisconsin white bean chili. Thanks for being here. I'm very excited. It's my first cooking demo, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to be doing Wisconsin white bean chili. First thing we're going to be adding, obviously, beans. So I've got our white kidney bean that we're going to be adding in there tonight. Let's go ahead and get that in there. Next thing is we have a garbanzo bean. I absolutely love the garbanzo bean. It's very versatile. It's kind of meaty, but one of the things I like about it is that you can blend it up and make hummus. I use it raw on salad. It's very versatile, can be used a lot. Next beans we're going to be adding in, we have our pinto bean. Take a look at that. Pinto bean comes out a little bit creamy. I like that. We have a red bean. Looks a little brown there, but that's our red kidney bean going in as well. Let's add those into the mix. Each of these were canned beans tonight. I chose to use canned beans for convenience, and the reason we did that is because I was short on time. However, when we're using canned, we just need to make sure that we're aware of the ingredients that are going in there. In addition to that, I strained the canned beans myself. I went ahead and used a strainer, and I drained them with cool water, and then I was able to put them in. Sometimes there's a gelatinous coating that comes in there, and I'm just not comfortable with that, so I like to drain them myself. Next thing I'm going to be adding in is tomatoes. I've got diced tomatoes. Once again, they are in the can. Same thing, want to check the ingredients. What's going in here? This one's got chopped tomatoes, tomato puree, and basil. I know all of those things. I like all of those things. Therefore, we add them into our chili. Since this is a white bean chili, I'm not using a tomato paste. Therefore, I'm just using tomatoes. I went with a diced tomato, so it's a little bit smaller. It's going to cook down a little bit more and be more flavorful. And we use it more so into the sauce. So the next I'm going to be adding some vegetables. Vegetables and I am going to choose. I have some diced carrot, and then we also have some diced celery. Both of these are going to cook down fantastic. Same thing. I chose to cook them, dice them a little bit smaller. Carrot can be a little bit harder of a vegetable, so it might take a little longer to cook down. And the celery. Not everyone loves celery. If you can dice it up, keep it a little bit smaller, it'll disguise it. Same thing with our onion. I love onion, but not everyone is wild about it as I am. This is a yellow onion, a little bit more mild. We're going to go ahead. This is 2 onions that we're adding in here tonight. By the way, I used 3 large carrots and 3 celery stalks as well. Next thing I'm adding in there, I've got green tomatillas. So these green chilies, tonight I bought them in a can, cut them open, dumped them in here for our presentation. However, if you're in a rush, you could simply just buy a jar of green salsa. It's mostly tomatillas, and then you could use that and dump that in your chili, and it could be quick and on the go. However, same thing, make sure you're checking your ingredient list. A lot of those salsas might have sugar, added ingredient we don't want in our plant-based meal. Next thing I'm going to be doing is adding some spices. I've got some thyme here. My thyme, I'm going to go ahead and add a teaspoon of thyme, adding that in. I've got cumin. Everybody loves cumin, or at least I do. Cumin, we're going to double it up. We're going 2 teaspoons there. And then I'm adding a chili powder. Same thing, 1 teaspoon of my chili powder. We're going to go ahead and give that a stir. It's mostly beans. It's mostly vegetables right now, so it should not be very soupy at all. But we're going to go ahead and mix this up. And the next thing we're going to add is our vegetable stock. Vegetable stock, I've gone ahead and opened it up. I like to add my beans first when I'm making a chili because I mostly make it in a crock pot. And if you're making it in a crock pot and you add your liquid first, and then you have to add the appropriate beans, you might overflow. So let's start the other way. Let's add our beans, our vegetables, our ingredient, and then we'll top off with our veggie stock. So veggie stock's going in. We're giving it a nice cook, a nice spin. Didn't mention this earlier, but now's the perfect time to do it. I've got this on a medium temperature right now. Depending if you're using a gas grill or a gas stove, or if you've got electric like this one, could differ. But I always start it a little higher, and then I like to turn that temperature down so it can cook, but at a little bit more of a simmer type cook. So this is going to be cooking. It looks fantastic. And now I'm going to show you one of my favorite things in the kitchen. We're going to let that cook while I move on to the rice cooker. The rice cooker is a staple in my home, and typically what I do is the moment I walk in the house, I put my grain for the day into the rice cooker, hit go, and 45 to 60 minutes later, it's done and ready to be cooked. So then, in that time, I need to figure out what my vegetable or my bean or whatever we're going to be eating for the evening. Tonight, I've picked a a mixed grain. It's got farro, wild rice, brown rice. It looks fantastic. I'm going to dump that in there. Oh, do you see the steam? I do. We're going to go ahead and add some of this white bean chili deliciousness. We are going to serve it up. How about that, PCRM? Wisconsin white bean chili. Thanks.